Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. You're listening to PHLY Flyers. That's right, PHLY. My name is Bill Matz, and I am your Director of Fun and Games for the inaugural pregame episode of our little show that we've put together here. And I am joined by the one and only, the fly by herself, Broad Street Hockey's own Kelly Hinkle for the first edition of Flyers pregame here on PHLY. Glad you could join me today, Kelly.
Me too. It's going to be fun, I think.
I do as well. This puck drops on the Flyers season, and what better day to do it? It's not as if there's anything else going on grabbing the attention of Philadelphia sports fans this week or today specifically. Definitely not a elimination playoff baseball game against a mustachioed pitcher who doesn't like to pitch in front of large crowds.
All right. I know this isn't a Philly show, but like I saw that today and I was like, wait, you don't like fans? Okay, buddy. You said it out loud too.
It's funny because that normally comes from hockey players.
Right?
Like they would, if they had their way, every game would be like that Lake Tahoe outdoor game, hockey players. Sure. Like, yeah, no fans. We're just skating around.
Yeah, with
like
our
Brandon
with our
Manning
buddies.
playing forward, whatever. But yeah, we are here for the first Flyers game of the season. They take on the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight at 7:00. Charlie O'Connor will be joining us from Columbus, Ohio in, let's call it 18 minutes or so. He's going to have a report on all the pregame notes before we get into the game tonight. But Kelly, we have spent a lot of time, you and I specifically, I would say, as broadcast partners, for lack of a better term, talking shit on the Flyers of the 70s and 80s. And it's about their continued role in the organization far after the game had, seemingly passed them by.
Right.
But because we're so close to the day-to-day, maybe it's it probably bleeds over into just our opinions of those teams. Like, stop honoring the bullies. Who cares? Leave me alone. And more specifically, like, our city's relationship with those teams. Mm-hmm. But watching this Phillies team these last two postseasons, and I was at game one of the wild card series as a game 3, but the first home game against the Braves last night. Watching them over these last couple of postseasons and our relationship with Bryce Harper in particular, I think I finally get it. Like, I asked on Twitter last night if there was anyone who has ever been this good in these moments, while also like repping us this hard, like making us proud to be Philadelphia fans. And the only thing I can think of is the bullies. Yeah. Like maybe the 93 Phils. I don't really remember them either. But that was like kind of just a blip. And they were just, a bunch of drunks running around having an incredible, everyone has a career year. Yeah. But like the bullies, not only were they excellent, win back-to-back cups, go to a third, beat the Russians, all of that. But they beat the shit out of everyone along the way, and we really, really love that. Yeah. They represented us. And now I think I finally, maybe not get it for the first time, but rediscovered why we feel that way about that team. Because I got to tell you, if in 9 years or whatever it is when Bryce Harper's contract is over, he takes over the organization and runs it into the ground, I'm going to go, everyone else is fucking up. Bryce Harper's the man. I don't know what you're saying out there.
Could be him.
So I think I don't know. It was hard for me to come in here today and just do a hockey show it's the most important thing happening in the Delaware Valley. I had to tie the Phillies in somehow. And I think last night I really put it all together. I think I tied the two together well. And while we're mentioning the Phillies, I'd like to direct you to PHLYlocker.com and our newest design, Attaboy Harper shirts. We just put them out, I believe, this morning. They are really, really cool. And Attaboy, Harper, attaboy. I mean, it's just the absolute greatest when someone, and now we actually have them up there. I sprung that on Andrew, didn't tell him I was going to do that. But we released these today right after Bryce Harper just shoves it right up the ass of the Braves after they were taunting him in the locker room after his base running mistake. Just, 4 RBIs on a couple home runs, basically can't be stopped ever. So all that is to say, I want to extend the olive branch to maybe the fan base that you and I in particular have alienated over the last 6 or 7 years as podcast partners. Yeah. I think I actually get it now.
I think that's beautiful. And I honestly, I think I might have talked about this a little bit the first show that I did with you and Charlie. That I've done some thinking about the bullies, and maybe it is because now they're no longer so involved in the day-to-day running. Like they've kind of been excised. Not really excised publicly, but it seems clear to me that Bobby Clark and Bill Barber are no longer the main voices.
They are still senior advisors, but maybe they're not running and asking them for everything.
Yeah. Listen, give those guys paychecks for life.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I do kind of think that coupled with the franchise just being an absolute tire fire for as long as it has been, it did kind of color our opinions, because when I was in the 90s, I think when we both became hockey fans, I didn't hate the Broad Street Bullies. I thought they were cool as hell.
But I did you and I grew up as Eric Lindros fans, and so Bobby Clark is not the toothless, scrappy captain who willed us to 2 championships.
No.
He was the guy calling the best player in the league, the P word.
Right. Yes. For getting concussions.
Yeah, for getting knocked out.
And almost dying in a bathtub.
Because he was too big for the sticks that they had at the time.
Yeah.
If he could use the Zdeno Chara sticks, he would have been Mario.
Right.
And he was pretty damn close.
Yeah.
But that's who Bobby Clark was, and that always kind of shaded my opinion of that group. But I think I can finally relate because Bryce Harper is just that dude. All right, now we are here to talk about the current Flyers. This puck drops on the season today, and it's a special game for a couple of reasons. One, it's the new era of orange.
It is.
But I think the biggest story from the Flyers side is the return of Sean Couturier, who basically missed 2 full seasons, needed back surgery, has been rehabbing. He's finally ready to go. And here he is. He's 1C, Kelly. He's in between Farabee and Bobby Brink.
Yeah, Bobby Brink. We're going to get to it, I know.
And we're going to get to that. Yeah. Me and Charlie, though, we were saying, as much as it's helping Brink, put him with Couturier and Farabee. It's also... what's Couturier struggling with right now? The defense is fine. The positioning. He's not sharp with the puck. Well, Bobby's a pretty damn good offensive creator.
You called him Slow Giroux, right?
Slow Giroux.
Yeah, I liked it.
I like that you listen.
Yeah, of course I do.
Well, I never listened to our old shows.
Well, no, I didn't listen to ones that I was on ever, but this one's good. I like it too.
Couturier's back, and I am... maybe mistakenly not making him one of my 3 goal scorers tonight. And we're going to have goal scoring picks for everyone. I'm going to keep track of these throughout the season. I think at some point there's going to be a picks contest for diehards, but we have not launched that yet. But it will be in the works. But for tonight, we'll have each 3 goal scorers. Couturier is not one of mine. And I normally go with guys who coming back that first game. I think it was... 2 years ago, Lindblom in that first game of the season, a puck hit him in the helmet and they credit him with a goal. I was like, yes, I win.
Baby.
But I am excited to just see Sean Couturier play real hockey. Yes. The preseason is one thing, but what should our expectations be for Coots? How are you feeling about what we're going to see out of him tonight and early in this season?
I'm trying to temper my expectations just because I don't want to disappoint myself by thinking he's going to come back and be Selke Trophy,
30-goal, best two-way player in the game.
Right. But I think we might be pleasantly surprised, those of us who are a little apprehensive about him coming back and what he's going to look like after so much time off. I think that he is going to look like a version of Sean Couturier, not the 100%, but I'm guessing we're going to see 80% Coots. Tonight.
Not the 2019-20 pre-pandemic,
no,
basically new Bergeron, but a pretty damn good 1C.
Right, and obviously they've played preseason games, but as we all know, those are not real. Nothing about them is real. Tonight is the first real hockey game, and I think we do have to give Sean Couturier an opportunity to ease back in to real NHL hockey because it has been a very long time for him. And there might be some bumps along the way, but I'm like worried about Sean Couturier? No, not at all.
I see a question from YGL Hockey. Is Coots getting an A? Now,
oh, no. Charlie's not here.
No, Charlie's not here, so we're free to talk about it. We will not get yelled at. He's not joining us for about 10 minutes. On Cap Friendly, he's listed as an assistant captain, but they might alternate captain. I'm sorry, but they haven't updated that maybe necessarily. As far as I know, Lawton's the only guy with a letter.
Only guy.
Would not shock me if Couturier would have one. Did he have one in the preseason? I didn't notice.
I don't think he did.
That's interesting.
I think it would have been a bigger deal considering the lack of
There
letters.
is no captain. Someone would have said something about it.
I don't know because Torts has been so weird about giving people letters that I'm not sure. Because Tortorella hasn't really had a lot of time with Sean Couturier, has he?
No.
Not really, right?
He hasn't been around.
And
he practiced at the end of last season. That was really it.
Right. And I'm sure this isn't a situation where John Tortorella is like, I don't know who this guy is. I got to wait and see. Like, I'm sure he knows who Sean Couturier is, but I'm wondering if, like, he might be like,
Do you think there's any chance, I mean, it would really behoove him not to act this way because the man has a contract that never ends with a full no movement clause. What if he becomes the new no, I'm not giving you a letter. No, actually, you're benched for the third.
Oh, no.
Like, do you think there's any possibility he becomes the new Hayes?
Oh, my God. Listen, no, but
Provy's gone. D'Angelo's gone. Hayes is gone. He needs someone to bully.
So he did it to Hayes because Hayes was the best player on the team, the highest paid player on the team. He was like, you got to be the guy.
Yeah.
He could theoretically put that on Sean Couturier.
Like, Konechny dealt with it and grew because of it, and it worked. And Hayes is now in St. Louis, so we know how that worked out. There's like no chance though. Like
way.
Kevin Hayes is also like a dude who's probably making jokes after they lose,
right.
And I don't believe that to be the Sean Couturier.
Sean Couturier looks like he never says anything out loud. To be quite honest,
I am okay for the time being with John Tortorella as head coach. I just always have these like, what if he's just in a fucking mood about something?
Right.
Like he's got a bug up his ass about Sean Couturier. It's like, well, you really can't because he's stuck here forever.
Yeah, like what if he accidentally coasts on the back check at some point
Unless they really want to get out of that contract. And it's just like, be a dick to him, Torts, so he waives his no move.
That's not going to happen.
I doubt it.
It's fine.
I doubt it.
It's not gonna happen.
On the Blue Jackets side, there are quite a few pretty interesting storylines, I'd say, coming into this one. We'll lead it off with, 12 months ago, I think we were still kind of up in arms about the Johnny Gaudreau situation.
We were.
Of course, Columbus was the second worst team in the league last year, so the fact that he didn't fit the Flyers' timeline it doesn't seem to really have affected them. They had the, third overall pick and got Adam Fantilli, who we'll talk about in a little bit. But Gaudreau last year, not a bad season, 21 goals, 74 points in 80 games. But in his free agent years, last year at the Flames, 40 goals, 115 points. He had 75 assists, which is more than his total points from last season. It's a really, really weird situation what happened with Columbus, with all their injuries and just how bad they were.
Johnny, like, who was he?
No, like they lose Zach Werenski, and it's like, all right, well, now no one can get me the puck.
Right.
They had no goalie, so every time the puck was in the defensive zone, it just went in the net.
And I think it seemed like at the somewhere in the first third of last season, Columbus realized that with the injuries that they seemed to be sustaining very early on, that it just wasn't going to be it. And it kind of seemed like the organization as a whole was kind of like, good year to be bad.
Well, no, it was a lot of teams. That's why I think the Flyers could have a similar record to last year, 75 points or so, and just be further down in the standings because there isn't going to be, Anaheim realizes their coach is just outmatched.
Right.
We ain't firing him, though, because it's actually good to be bad.
Right.
Like, Chicago isn't going to openly tank again. Like, they have no Kane and Taves to get rid of. Like, there's just going to be less of a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
So, like, they might be 20 points ahead of San Jose, the Flyers, but pick third. Like,
I mean, that's a point.
Very, very realistic possibility, I think, with this team. But just, I'm looking forward to seeing Johnny. I always like watching him play. But a guy who I guess maybe this is an underrated storyline coming into this one. Ivan Provorov, his first game with his new team is against his former team. He spent 7 seasons with the Flyers. He averaged a 34-point pace. We know there was a bunch of nonsense seasons in there, so I just did points per game. But averaged over 24 minutes in 532 regular season games with the Flyers. It's night 1 in Columbus for Provi, and this is what I want to ask Charlie about when we do speak to him in a few minutes. Did you happen to see his comments today?
I did.
He just has maybe the way Vigneault coached and the way Torts coached were a hindrance to him. But everything we've heard about the guy is true. He has zero accountability.
None.
There's no question he works his ass off. A tremendous work
the
ethic.
Fucking tires up the hill,
climbing mountain, doing the Rocky IV training, basically, I guess. But I just read this guy's quotes, hear him talk, and think this is not a leader on a winning team.
No, he's not a team guy. Period. I think, and if we're learning anything from the Phillies, not to take it back there again, it's that there might be nothing more important than the vibes on a team.
It's vibes.
It's 100% vibes. That team is taking it all the way on pretty much nothing but vibes and dingers, and it's working for them. And I don't think that the Flyers are going to be able. I know hockey is different because no one has a personality. Like, you would never see anyone
but
making
teams
jokes.
do have identities.
They do. And I actually talked about this with Micah McCurdy today on a pregame for the Senators. That
you're just working your ass off.
Well, that the Flyers' identity, I think I would like to see them develop it organically the way the Phillies did. Like, no one made these guys goofballs. They just are.
Yeah.
And I kind of worry sometimes that the organizational obsession kind of with identity
Flyers culture.
Flyers and culture and stuff, like, are they building a framework of culture that they expect people to fill in rather than letting these guys be these guys and let that be the culture? I don't know. I'm getting off track.
But the actual, like,
sucks. Yes, you're correct.
The last actual good Flyers team, the 2012 team that we thought might have had some semblance of a chance, that was the knock team.
Yeah.
That was not exactly the Broad Street Bullies.
No.
But their identity kind of just took shape because they put together a bunch of, here's 40-year-old Yager, here's Giroux, like, he's the guy now.
Yeah.
Here's Shen and Couturier and a bunch of youngsters coming into the fold, and it happened organically. We have an insane person in net, but it all kind of works because everyone's kind of stupid and it's fun. But I just listen to this Provorov and stuff and go, he might be a much better player than we saw the last couple years, last year especially.
I don't think he is, honestly.
I don't think he can't be a top pair defenseman on a good team.
No
and
way.
It's not even his ability, it's his attitude. And
I'm
with the Ivan Provorov stuff, I want to bring in now Charlie O'Connor, number 1 hockey beat reporter in the city of Philadelphia. He is reporting live. I believe he is straddling the cannon right now, Charlie.
I am not. I am still in my hotel room. After this, I will head over to the arena because it's real close to my hotel.
And then you will straddle the cannon.
All right. Just make sure you get a picture of yourself on top of the cannon, Charlie. That's all that's important. The big story, I really feel like, I don't know, just because who cares, me? I feel like Ivan Provorov's first game as not a Flyer being against the Flyers is kind of like a bigger deal than we've made it leading up to this, Charlie. I saw you retweet his comments from earlier today. What do you make of what Ivan Provorov believes to be the problem with his game and the Flyers the last 3 seasons?
Well, what I can tell you is none of this is anything new. This was stuff that, he had been saying privately behind closed doors, privately to, media people who he trusted, things like that, that he didn't feel like he was being used correctly. And I think that it hints at what the problem was here, which is he struggled to take accountability for his mistakes. And it was tough for his teammates to accept that when, like, we've said it on the show before. I've said it on the show before. Provorov was more than willing to, in team meetings and whatever, say that another player did something wrong on the ice. And that's fine. Accountability is good. But if you're going to call out your teammates when they make mistakes, you then can't blame other people when you obviously make mistakes. Like, these guys know hockey. This is their life. They know when a guy is screwing up. They know when a guy for 2 straight months is just making turnovers and blowing games. And if that guy then proceeds to, in front of everyone, refuse to take criticism and say, no, it's actually the style of play, that's the reason why I'm messing up, they're just going to roll their eyes and they're not going to take him seriously anymore. And I'm not saying that's the reason why he's gone. I do think that Provorov's frustration with the style of play, starting with Alain Vigneault and then bleeding into John Tortorella, I think that was sincere. I think he truly believes that. If you hooked him up to a lie detector, he really does believe that that's the reason why he struggled. But in the grand scheme of things, I think there was a lack of self-awareness when it came to Provorov. Just an inability to accept that, like, I might actually be part of the problem. And I think that's a big reason why the whole thing fell apart.
Do you think, like, with a different style, because in the just reading some of the quotes from from Pascal Vincent about what they're looking for, like the reason Kent Johnson isn't playing tonight is because they want to play with so much pace and they want to attack. Do you think maybe a different level of Provorov or sophomore season Provorov can come back with a new style?
Look, I still believe in his talent. I still think that he is, at his core, a true talent number 2 defenseman. He could be a top pair defenseman. Whether that can happen in Columbus, I don't know. I don't know enough about the way Columbus is going to play to know if it's going to work there. I know it's going to be interesting for me to see how he reacts to being very clearly the number 2 defenseman behind Zach Werenski, because he did not react well in Philly when he was not the guy, because he felt like he deserved to be the guy. Now, maybe he'll be fine with it because maybe he realizes that Zach Werenski's a really, really good defenseman. And in fairness, Zach Werenski's a much better defenseman than any defenseman he played with in Philly ever. So maybe he will be willing to accept it. I'm not sure. But it's going to be interesting because he always struggled to. I think in retrospect, one thing that really hurt the development of Ivan Provorov in Philadelphia is the fact that he was handed the job as the guy so young that he then got it in his head that he was above criticism and that actually he was better than he was.
Well, I've always found it funny. He ended up in Columbus with Werenski. Like, Charlie says this about him, and it's like, do you think he showed up on day one? He's like, well, I was drafted ahead of this guy.
It actually brings me a lot of joy that they've been comparing these two players forever.
And one's awesome.
You know that Ivan Provorov thinks he's the better one, but he's demonstrably below the guy that he's been compared to all of this time on the depth chart.
If you could combine them, you'd create a Norris Trophy winner.
It would be a very good defenseman if you could.
Charlie, before we let you go, just anything else interesting from pregame? Anything?
I mean, I'm sure you guys probably have already went over the lines. We know for a fact now that Bobby Brink is playing on the first line. We have Rasmus Ristolainen out. He is injured. We'll see if he comes back on Saturday against the Ottawa Senators. But because of that, Igor Zamula will play. Emil Andre and Tyson Forrester, though, are scratched. I pushed John Tortorella a little bit on when are the other kids going to play, and he got a little ticked off about being pushed on that. But eventually I was able to get some type of explanation where he does feel like it's important for veterans like Mark Stahl, veterans like Garnet Hathaway, veterans that have earned it. He thinks it's important for them to play in game one, just out of respect for what they've done in the league. So we got that confirmation that, yes, that is a John Tortorella thing. He will not talk about how he plans to do the rotation beyond today's game. He says, I'll only talk about the lineup on the day of the game. So that's going to be a thing. But we'll see. We'll see what the rotation's like. Maybe they'll have Tyson Forrester in for Bobby Brink for game 2. if Ristolainen comes back for game 2, I'm curious if Zamula stays in the lineup. It might honestly depend on how they play. If Bobby Brink scores 2 goals tonight, can't imagine he comes out. If Bobby Brink is a -3 and looks behind the pace of play, he probably does come out. So this is, again, as me and Bill have talked about all week, really since the start of preseason, this is going to be a recurring debate, discussion throughout the entire season. But at least to start, we have 2 prospects, if you're still counting Zamula as a prospect, in the lineup, and you have Andre and Forrester not playing, but still with the team, still on the trip. So we'll see if they play on Saturday.
Torts in midseason form, yelling at Charlie already.
It's game 1, and you've already pissed off the coach, Charlie. Thanks a lot. Make sure you straddle that cannon for us, Charlie, and I'll talk to you after the game.
All right, sounds good. Bye, guys.
Listen, it's okay. It's okay. There's 81 after tonight.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I'm not going to freak out about Forster and Emil Andre not playing. Emil Andre probably doesn't even belong in the NHL yet. The fact that he made the team and he's going to get some NHL games ahead of schedule in my mind. Bobby Brink was never going to make this thing and forced his way in, and they put him on line 1 with Sean Couturier.
Yes.
I'm cool with it.
Yeah. It's good.
But like, I said this to Charlie on whenever our last show was, Tuesday, whatever. Mm-hmm. All right. Game 1, we got to respect the veterans. Mark Stahl has to play. What about the home opener? Because that's 2 games from now.
Yeah.
What about the outdoor game? He's from Thunder Bay. Does that mean he has to play every time we play the Leafs? What about when we play the Rangers?
Bill, they're very far apart.
Yeah, but remember, that's the joke.
I know.
Like his old team, the Rangers, does he need to play every time? It's just like,
I know.
Looking down the line,
Where's the respect?
I see like mesh points for me to lose my mind. But I'm not going to. I get to see Bobby Brink, who is my favorite prospect, not named Mishkov or Gauthier. So I'm very excited about that tonight. And I guess that's where we will go. I was told I don't have to do the actual reads in pregame, so I'm very excited about that. But just let me tell you, DraftKings is the place to go if you want to bet on hockey. We have our 3 goal scorer bets for tonight. I want to lead things off. Actually, you know what, Kelly? You're the guest. Let me get your first goal scoring bet of the night.
Okay, my first bet's Patrick Laine. I didn't know this until recently. They moved him to center.
He's centering Gaudreau, yes.
Yeah, very interesting to me, just because I never thought of him as a setup guy. But apparently he's been looking really good.
Everything I've read and heard about it is, we didn't think this was going to work, and it is.
And it's working, yeah. So I think I can see Laine 5-1 tonight.
You can get Laine at +140 on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Is that good?
It's very good, yes.
Okay.
If you bet $100, you get $240 back.
Oh.
You get $140 plus your stake. My first is going to be the man I mentioned playing with Sean Couturier tonight. It's going to be Bobby Brink at +295. Go ahead and try to take him out of the lineup on Saturday, Torts. I'm daring you. He's going to put one in tonight. Maybe it's from Sean Couturier. Maybe it's from Igor Zamula. We will see. But I'm looking forward to watching Bobby Brink tonight. You know, it's not his NHL debut, but it's his re-debut.
Yes.
You know, he played a little at the end of one season after he was done with college, but got no call-ups last year. Mm-hmm. Now he is here. He has made the team. He is on line 1, and I think it pays immediate dividends with a goal. Kelly, who do you have at number 2?
So I have Columbus winning this game, sorry. But I'm going with Adam Fantilli. It's his NHL debut, home ice debut, his 19th birthday.
19th birthday.
He is extremely good at hockey. The Flyers are a little sus. I could see him scoring a goal tonight.
Columbus got a little lucky there.
They did.
Like him falling to 3. Yeah. And it's like, I always think it's a little bit of karma. Like Colorado, by far the worst team in 2017. They fall to 4, but end up with Cale Makar.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we'll live.
Yeah, right.
We'll live without Nolan Patrick, I think.
Right. But
okay. Yeah, I also have Adam Fantilli. He's at +320 on DraftKings, and I've seen it around 3-1 elsewhere. So if you want to get in on Fantilli, yet another ringing endorsement of DraftKings Sportsbook, get a little extra juice on your goal scoring bet. I too am on Fantilli, so I'll give you my third and final. It's going to be the pride of Belmar, South Jersey's own, Gloucester Catholic's own, Eric Robinson at plus 475. I always bet him to score against the Flyers. He had like 2 in one season, and I always went with it. And he like had none last year, so I just kept losing those. But why not? It's his hometown squad. I'm picking it. He's got a ton of speed. The Flyers are slow.
We love guys that are from here.
Always go with it. Who do you have to wrap this up, Kelly?
So you talked about guys coming back, scoring big goals. Cam Atkinson, I think, coming back from this long absence, playing in Columbus, which he absolutely loves. I could see him having a lot of energy tonight and getting a goal.
Cam Atkinson looked like he had a ton of energy in preseason. The games he played in, he was everywhere.
I kind of think that both Atkinson and Couturier, and maybe I'm just talking about myself, kind of forgot how good they are.
Atkinson, definitely.
They're very good.
Like Couturier, it's just those little things that you go, oh.
It's not as flashy.
But like Atkinson, he can still move, man. Like in the preseason, he looked like a young man, and he's like my age.
And he's got hands.
He does. I'm looking forward to watching him, and hopefully they're able to trade him as soon as possible. So a Cam Atkinson goal will go a long way towards my goal of seeing him gone by American Thanksgiving. Can we just call it Thanksgiving now because it's Canadian is over?
Yeah,
is it today?
Thanksgiving. No, it was last week.
It was last week.
Yeah, on Monday.
But it's just Thanksgiving now.
Now it's just Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can go with
that. All right. To wrap up tonight, I do want to talk a little bit more about some offerings at DraftKings. So did a little research, Kelly. Flyers and Blue Jackets met 4 times last year. Scores were 5-2, 5-4 in overtime, 5-3, and 4-3 in overtime. They averaged 7.75 total goals per game last year. Total tonight at DraftKings is 6.5, just slightly to the over, but still pretty fair. I think we're going to see some goals tonight, which makes me pretty optimistic about our goal scoring bets. As of the first 9 games of the season over Tuesday and Wednesday, a ton have gone over. Only 2 of the first 9 games saw fewer than 6 goals. Tuesday and Wednesday's games averaging 7 1/3 goals per game. Scoring's been up. I'm pretty excited to see what happens tonight. Now we know John Tortorella wants to keep the puck out of the net, wants to play a very structured 2-to-1 style of hockey.
Yes.
But reading the Pascal Vincent quotes about specifically why Kent Johnson isn't in the lineup because can't keep up with the pace.
Yeah,
They want to go.
They're going to go. Yeah. So I
should we have both bet Provorov? That was a mistake, right?
Nah, he's not.
The former Flyer.
Although he might do one of his annoying just firing it from the point on the power play. I've heard that he's getting second unit time, so maybe.
Good for him.
Whatever, yeah. He could be slow for 30 seconds instead of a minute and a half. Yeah, I could see a lot of goals tonight. And I didn't realize that we went to OT twice with them last season. If this game goes to overtime, I'm going to be very upset. Let's not kick it off on foot, fam.
Can we just have like a nice hour, 58-minute game?
Listen, no one's paying attention to this game after 8 p.m., so let's just wrap it up in 60, boys.
Let's get all these goals in the first period, and then I can kind of just have one eye on the game.
Exactly.
No, immediately following the game tonight, I will be joining you for our post-game show, so make sure you tune in for that. That is all the time we have for you on our pregame program. Kelly, it's been a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to doing as many of these with you as your schedule allows.
Me too.
I will be here for, I'm fairly certain, every game. We'll see. But that is it for the pregame show. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. Make sure you tell your friends about PHLY Flyers. Search PHLY Flyers wherever there are podcasts. Subscribe to the YouTube, all that, and get the Attaboy Harper shirt. It's pretty cool.
It's cool.
All right, my name is Bill Matz. That is Kelly Hinkle. Ring the bell.
We all silly like the man.